Okay. Oh, we'll make a head start now. Good evening, everyone. Um, Welcome to another webinar in our International Women's Day series. My name is Bomo Anthony. I'll be hosting this webinar session. The topic we'll be covering today is building inclusive workspaces, strategies for employers. And our speaker for this evening is Teju Fola-Alade. I'll tell us a bit about our speaker. Okay. So Teju Fola-Alade is a business operations leader making significant impact. Sorry, 1 second. Making significant impact within emerging and disruptive businesses in Africa, with over a decade of experience within the digital technology ecosystem. Her competencies span across commercial operations, talent management, business operations management, and cultural management. Teju is the country, people, and culture leader for Mano Nigeria, an international quick commerce company delivering products to customers in minutes and operational in multiple countries. She oversees the people and culture, legal and compliance, and business administrative verticals, championing employee experience, business productivity, and culture management across the business. Beyond her professional endeavors, Teju has established herself as a trusted and influential individual within the digital technology, entrepreneurial, and human resource communities, while also using her digital platforms to advocate for meaningful change and promoting inclusive, ethical, and sustainable business and social practices. She's the founder of Better Worker, a boutique HR solutions firm for SMEs and startups, and Teju Writes, which is a digital blog for topical entrepreneurial and career-related convos. She's a lover of humor, food, true crime series, Sidney Sheldon's novels, and Teju is married with 2 adorable debit notifications. She remains deeply committed to driving social change and seeing Nigeria become the true giant of Africa. Without further ado, welcome Teju. Teju, hello, over to you.
Hi, Bomo. Thank you so much. I think I was phased out for some seconds or minutes there. I had network issues. I'm currently using my
Oh,
hotspots. Yeah, so I apologize in advance in case I glitched again.
okay, we
Yeah.
understand. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Niger Startups, for having me. And thank you for reading my profile, though I missed it.
You'll get the
Um,
recording.
it's fine. I don't want to listen to my profile, actually. Just saying, I'm glad I missed it. I just have a problem having my profile.
Okay, okay.
Thank you to everyone who joined. I like to believe that joining the call means that you want to learn a thing or two about building an inclusive workplace. It comes from maybe a place of hope that you can do better or things can be better, which is quite good. The topic also is straight to the point and direct as it is. A little about me, apart from she's a business operations leader. I'm a woman in tech. I've always wanted to say that. Right. I've been in the tech space for over a decade. Yes, I'm an unconventional HR. I think every CEO I've worked with will also say that. I'm a multi-potential lead. I have quite a number of skill set, multidisciplinary competence. I'm a humorist. I love humor a lot. So I love to laugh. I love to smile. So it's one of the things that is most glaring about me. I'm a storyteller. I've been writing for as long as I can remember. I'm a biographer as well. I offer this as a service to senior executives. I believe I'm disruptive and creative. One of the outcomes of being in the tech startup space for more than a decade. And I'm a ghostwriter. Yep. I get paid for that. And I'm an ambivert. Left to me, I won't leave my house, but the bills must be paid. A wife and a mom of two debit alerts. All right, moving right into the topic. As the topic said, we're building an inclusive workplace and strategies that employers can adopt or business leaders as it is. And one of the learning outcomes is to increase awareness and understanding of diversity and inclusion, especially in Nigeria. Sometimes we think we're diverse, but we can even be welcoming everyone. But the problem is now, how do we ensure that they feel included in the activities of the organization? And of course, equip employers with strategies to be able to create an inclusive workplace consciously that will value and celebrate diversity, and also provide techniques for fostering inclusivity in recruitment, hiring, and talent management. This remains one of the areas that potential employees and candidates have said that most organizations can, we have a lot of diverse employees, but it usually shows during recruitment that there's a lot of bias in the workplace, while also, enhancing skills in addressing unconscious bias, which we all have, and promoting equal opportunities for all employees, and empowering employers to develop plans to be able to implement these policies and practice it within the organization. Right, so to the first question, does an inclusive workplace drive business results, or is it simply a matter of being politically correct? I mean, we can answer in the group. Do you think your business can survive? I know the first question is, oh, this thing was not rampant back then, and we have quite a number of big organizations that were doing so well. But I mean, looking at today, the future, the work of now, and even for the future, do you think your business can survive if you don't practice inclusion or diversity? Or do you just feel if I do it now, it's just for being politically correct? Does it? Doesn't it? I think we will get to learn that more as we proceed in the call. So looking at all these organizations, we can also share in the group, what will we say they have in common across all these companies? I'd love to read from everyone. Oh, audio, I just saw this. Audio is a bit low. Let me, 1 second. Please let me know if you can hear me. Can anyone hear
me? We can hear you.
Okay.
Is it okay for everyone? Okay, they're saying they can hear. They can hear.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you. So moving on from this, I asked what these organizations have in common. Does anyone have an idea? All right. First things first, I got the opportunity to visit UBA sometime last year during Tony Lumelu's birthday. And the first thing that came to my mind was, wow, everybody was there. I mean, have you ever been somewhere and you could literally see everybody represented? It was almost as if I couldn't explain it. It was, I don't know whether it's not limiting because I've worked in other organizations, but what struck me at UBA was the level of diversity. I could see a very young employee, and I could see, it's been a while I actually went to an organization where some people were actually kneeling to greet others. And the people that were kneeling were people that I see on a normal day on social media, people with zazz, with gravitas, upper echelons of the business. But I also saw that even when they were there, they knelt to greet some people. Some cut side, some were bowing, and it was almost like everybody was there that I could think of. Was it Chinese? Was it American? Was it a Black American? Was it a young Nigerian? It was everywhere. I think if you have the opportunity, I don't know if it's the same with other banks. And if you also go to Netflix, if you go to their LinkedIn pages or Airbnb or Paystack or Google or Amazon or Apple, you would see diversity, right? And one thing you can say is, oh, yeah, a company can be diverse, but are they inclusive? Do they make opportunities for maybe the young, the old, the Muslim, the Christian, or the multicultural colleagues to be able to blend in? We'll find all this out. Right. A quote from Johnny Taylor, SHRM. While diversity may bring people in the door, it is inclusion that keeps them coming back. Like I said, yes, it's possible to just bring people so that when they see, whether you're raising funds or you're trying to get some international recognition, so they can see that you have the number of people represented across the board. The problem is these people, are they staying? What's your retention rates? If your people you're hiring, we can see that you just brought in this, you just brought in that. If we look at your turnover annually, or if we look at your retention rates annually, what's the percentage? Ideally, it should be less than 10%. In fact, some new age proponents are saying that it should be less than 5%. I don't know how possible, because it would be heavily dependent on industry. But what all these people, all these companies have in common is diversity and inclusion. We'll get to learn more about that. And like this quote said, although time and people have dramatically changed, many employers still operate as if they are frozen in time. Just to mention that a number of these conversations are around our climb, which is Nigeria, which is Africa. We are not yet conscious of the inclusive culture, right? There's still a tendency to want to hire people like us. So that's why the quote said, although time and people have dramatically changed, many employers still operate as if they're frozen in time, and we'll get to discover why. Now, the thing about culture is, whether you're conscious of it or you're not, it will happen. A culture, the minute you bring two people together, in fact, the minute you bring your brother and your sister together, there's already a culture. There are some kids that when they're together, oh, it's so loving, they're just, and there are those that you bring them together, they're fighting, they're competitive, the rivalry can be smelled from afar. It's a culture. So when you're building or you're starting an organization or you join an organization, a culture will exist. So do you want to leave it to chance, or do you want to mold it into what you want people to see? This is just a main, we need to focus on diversity. I want you to hire more people who look different, but think just like me. It's funny, but the reality is most often than not, we tend, especially in this side of the climb, we tend to hire people that look like us, that talk like us, that we are comfortable with. If you want to understand how change or something different makes us uncomfortable, especially in this side of the world, you need to go to social media, right? And you see how people come out to insult, or when you share an unpopular opinion, that what are you saying? People come at you. So that bias that we have, even on a social level, we bring it to the workplace. And especially as leaders, of course, when we want to make decisions, we will make decisions that favor things that we believe that suit us, or things that look like us. Now, what is an inclusive workplace? I'm sure we all know what that is. One in which all employees are valued, respected, and supported regardless of their background or identity. One that values and leverages unique perspective, experience, contributions, and where everyone has an equal opportunity to succeed and thrive. As we go through these meanings, I would like you to also think through your organization or where you work, even if you're an employee. Does your organization currently do they fit into this definition? Is this something that they currently do? Or are some certain opportunities, positions limited to certain people? It could be meetings, right? Sometimes in meetings, we see people, maybe some ideas are just taken. Some people are the ones that are consistently being recognized, creating an environment where everyone feels welcome, has a sense of belonging, and feels able to fully participate and contribute their best work. Is this the organization you're currently consciously building? Organizations that fit into this space, it can't be by chance. It can't be like, well, because I don't lie as a leader. So how do I build a culture where, is it by just saying because I don't lie, or do I show, do I emulate, do I mold, do I talk about this, do I train people, do I have it as part of my core values? So those are the questions we need to ask. you can't talk about inclusion without diversity. Diversity is the mix, inclusion is making the mix work. So if we're talking about inclusion, then we are assuming that diversity is already happening. And we don't have a case where you're operating on a single or individualistic style of leadership or organization. We are assuming that you've crossed that phase where diversity already exists in your organization, and inclusion is now how we can help you make that work in your organization. Because sometimes you can bring everybody from different places and you're still practicing your oneness. It's only people that look a certain way that are getting the juicy opportunities. Why is diversity and inclusion important in the workplace? Um, Things in common, diversity. Is this unconscious bias? I'm not quite sure. Okay. Importance on diversity and inclusion in the workplace. First things first, usually when you want to, for some employees, if they want to work for a company, I mean, you can literally tell that there are some things you won't just experience when you work for a company, that an organization that practices diversity and inclusion. So that's why employees, the first thing they do is they are going to your LinkedIn profile, your Glassdoor, they are checking the kind of persons that work, the kind of gender, geographic location, cultural mix, right? If you go to an organization or you're trying to join an organization, trust me, employees do some serious background work that will give FBI detective work a run for their money, right? Because you're checking, is it everybody they are hiring? Then it tells you that it's possible that there's a bit of equity and fairness in how they do things. But when you go to an organization and you're seeing that 95%, especially in a central location. Now, I'm not talking of location outside. Maybe you're going to maybe an area. Of course, for instance, if an organization is in the north, most likely you're going to have a high percentage of people from that area, unless it's an international organization that would then import some of the employees from different parts of the world. But now we're talking about a central location. Expectedly, we expect the numbers to be evenly paced out. So it has to fit, it must be able to attract people of all ages. Nobody wants to work for a place. Why am I seeing only Yoruba people here? Why are there only Igbo people here? Or why is it that everybody here is a Christian, right? So having a mix of employees, people from diverse backgrounds, will attract more people to you. And even it does the recruiting for you. I want to work for a company that has an international and diverse mindset, right? Then it helps you. You're getting skill set from different places. What you're not, there are some things that I can't think of anymore, right? I have a social media person, a graphics person, sometimes they share ideas and I'm like, why did I think of this? You can't, your set has passed. Their mindset is different. Same thing as if it's maybe a Gen X or a baby boomer. They think differently. They bring a sort of wisdom to it that you probably don't think about. So it helps you boast of a wide range of skills. You have a larger market share. I mean, who doesn't want to work for Google, Netflix, Apple? Because you have a large number of employees. They know that, oh, I always meet someone like mine. You know that it's multi-generational, multidisciplinary, and multicultural, right? There's understanding that, okay, maybe you want to penetrate a particular market. Someone that belongs to that market could say that, oh, I understand them. I mean, look at the last American election. We can say it, but the reason Biden came through was because Kamala, he brought her on board. So she was able to clinch that market share for him. So it really matters. And it helps you build a more creative workforce, having people from different race, culture, generation to share ideas and brainstorm. And of course, you have access to a wide range of ideas as well. This is just to also reemphasize the importance of having diversity and inclusion as a key part of your values and what you're building as an organization to build a sustainable and profitable and a productive business. It increases innovation. There's a reason why companies like Apple, every year you just see them launching, more phones, more tabs, because there are too many brains in the organization. So creativity is just mixing. In fact, it's too much, because the last iPhone they made, people were even pissed off. We are coming back to the earpiece also. So diversity is just a lot. So there's so much innovation in the house. Employee engagement and morale, having a lot of people coming from different places, there's a lot of engagement going on, and better decision making and problem solving. You have a problem, you want people to help you, just bring different people from different culture, race, generation into the room, and you'll be bombarded with solutions. And also, it increases productivity and profitability as well. I mean, the evidence speaks for itself. Looking at the organizations that lead in the charts, when you're looking at profits and improve talent attraction and retention. This is just enhanced company reputation. There's a reason Google gets overwhelmed with job vacancies. I mean, applications. One application can get 5,000 interest, right? Same thing for Apple, Netflix, Airbnb. Even Nigerian companies, Paystack right now, all they just share, like in idea is just share one vacancy. And I'm sure they may be so overwhelmed that they have to go back to the referral table to say that, please, who knows someone? Yes, that happens. Sometimes you get too many applications and you're forced to, like, please, who has a referral, or do you know someone that has applied? Let's interview that person rather than sieving through 5,000, 10,000 applications. So it enhances your company reputation, improve customer service and satisfaction, increase. So we've talked about this. Now, what's the role of a leader? I like to believe that most people here are already leaders. Everybody here should be leaders in the organization. What's your role in fostering inclusion in the workplace? Well, first things first, a leader decides, determines what happens. I used to work for a CEO who used to get to the office before 8 a.m. It was so bad because I was an executive assistant, and I think I was so indisciplined then that it didn't really make much sense to me. I mean, I'll still take my time. Imagine my CEO waiting for me in the office. I get to the office past 8, sometimes 8:30. He was taking it after a while. He had to call me and he brought me to order. But one thing I discovered was that because he used to get to work before 8, people started getting to work earlier. In fact, there was a time he was getting to work around 7:30, before 7. And people kept asking that, is this guy not happy at all? It was a conversation we're having then. That what's going on. We started talking. He was that early. But what I did was people adjusted. People started coming very early because he sets the tone for time and attendance. These guys, Jagaban, get to the office. You won't see anything. You will just go into his office. But note that the CEO, your CEO, and he was staying on the island. The office was on the mainland. He's getting to the office before you that you're on the mainland. Why are you not in the office? So he set the tone. It's the same thing for inclusion. You can't outsource inclusion to a consultant. You can bring in someone to come and, do the whole, but that practice, that you can have a change management program that we are practicing diversity and inclusion in this workplace, but you see that reminder, that action that tells people, that reminds people that this is not something that you just paste on the wall and everyone goes about their daily activities. This is something that must be practiced because the CEO is practicing it, the leader is practicing it. I'll give another example. There was a time we used to have some people in the company I used to work, and they used to smoke in the office whenever they come around. But I was now having issues with people at my level, HODs, heads of departments doing the same. But I really enforced because even the people that they were not respecting themselves. So we had to, sit around the room to say, look, these are the things, these are the values, these are things that have zero tolerance policy. Until the leaders started practicing it, because before other leaders now said, I mean, if your boss or the CEO is not practicing it, why will you be? So we, the leaders, as leaders, we set the tone for how we want to, how do we treat people that are not like us? How do we treat people that are not our tribe, that are not our generation? When they are talking, are we just flippant? Or how do we relate to other culture, other race, other people that are not at our job level? Do we only respect people? Do we only clap for leaders that are maybe at our level, that understand, that are earning on the same pay grade as us, right? It helps as leaders, we help to create an environment where everyone feels valued and respected and where everyone has a voice. When people know that the CEO respects everyone and the CEO is clear that if you feel disrespected, here, this is a number, or this is a channel that you need to reach out to me, or there's a process that ensures that you have a voice. Every other person will fall in line. This is not something to give to HR. This is not something that the CEO or the head of marketing would design slides to, okay, let me talk about it. No, it's what is lived by the leaders, right? Model the behaviors and champion perspectives. I spoke about this. And encouraging, we shouldn't just have it in on the handbook that we operate an open door policy. Is the CEO's door truly open? Are the heads of departments, are they really, really available? Or is it that it's only when other leaders chat them up, or when the CEO sends them messages? Is every other person available or accessible to them, right? Then, of course, it will attract and retain top talent, knowing that before I joined an organization I used to work, I heard that the CEO makes sure that salaries are paid on the 25th. That was the deciding factor. It's a long time ago, but it still works. One of the things employees ask before they join an organization, what day do they pay salaries? And if the CEO says, I need the CEO, then I was told that, the CEO, if you pay on the 26th, you're getting a query as HR. So it became a culture. And throughout the time I was there, we were getting our salaries on the 25th. The day it's not going to come on that 25th, HR will send an email apologizing and copying the CEO so that it's clear. So we set the tone. So this is just a short exercise that we can, I think we'll get the slides later. Describe the culture within your team or your organization. Are there inclusive behaviors that you see that you're proud of? Are there those that you do not see? What are the norms that are welcomed and what are the ones that actually shuns inclusivity, right? Now, how do we eliminate? See, hiring processes, this is usually the most revealing aspect of whether an organization is biased or isn't. We can hide anywhere, but that hiring process is where leaders reveal who they are. So I was helping an organization recruit once, and one of the feedback the lady gave to me was like, even during the interview, she already had the impression that the CEO had found who he wanted to hire, because she got the vibe that he wasn't listening to her. That in fact, according to her, he was smoking on the call. And she felt that she wasn't penetrating him. That I didn't even know them, but later when I go back to the person to say, well, Alpha, person, I will go with the other person at sin. She was right. Now that person may not even know that you shouldn't do that, or that you have to hide even if you found the person and not listen. But the reality is a lot of leaders, once they are sitting in a room with a candidate that they've already found who they wanted, they are not listening, they are pretending. Some are typing, some are chatting, some are smiling. They are busy with other things, showing disinterest, right? So as leaders, we want to develop an inclusive recruitment strategy. There has to be a training. Most organizations don't train or even have like maybe a document detailing what the do's and don'ts of hiring. A lot of leaders, a lot of hiring managers are badly behaved during interview processes and exercises. So because if they don't like the person, they've tuned out. And sometimes you see interview process where someone is questioning someone as if they're in the interrogating room, right? You're trying to find something, this person is lying, especially Gen Zs. There are some leaders that once they're in an interview with Gen Z, they're already biased. The person that they're already, they're already defensive because of what Gen Z represents. So as leaders, we want to develop an inclusive strategy that focuses on attracting candidates. Sometimes you have to consciously look at the tribe you have in a particular department or in a particular branch. Yeah? Do I have more Igbo persons, or do I have more Yoruba persons, or do I have more men, or do I have more women, or do I have more expats? You want to blend things, because you also don't want to create a oneness culture where you only just have maybe an Igbo person or a Yoruba person or someone from or Chinese or, from a particular place. Then use diverse interview panels and assessment tools. For instance, you're hiring a technical person. You can't rate, if you're hiring for technicality, right? Maybe an engineer. You can't use communication and you're hiring from, let's say, Lebanon or China or another place where English is not their strength. You can't use that communication tool as a yardstick, especially if it's not going to be a core criteria for performance. So you must be careful not to set, or you can't tell someone that, how available are you during maybe on Saturday, where our employees don't go to work. You're in front of a Muslim, right? Especially if you found out, or people from this tribe or people from this culture, they are Muslims. That is the consciousness and the knowledge that must be shared with hiring managers during interviews. Train hiring managers on how to be inclusive. There has to be intended training. The reality is most hiring managers are hiring for competence. This is a problem. This is my pain point in my department. I need someone that will just come and solve it. I need someone that can ensure that we are making sales. That is all they are focused on. So when they meet someone that fits in, they don't care whether the person was toxic in the previous place of work. Just bring me that person. They are not looking at any other thing. When you start telling them I'm hiring for culture fit, they are wondering, what are you saying? This person was making 50 billion naira every month in this organization. This is what I want. So as leaders, there has to be consciousness on that, working with your human resource team or even you as a person. And of course, like I mentioned, you must be able to cater to diverse cultural, religious, gender differences. Currently, Muslims are fasting. How inclusive is your organization in that area? Do you always say that employees, I need you, you must still be here by 8 p.m.? How are they going to break their fast, right? So how do you manage these unconscious bias? We all have it, honestly. Right now, I remembered when I did this nose ring and I went for an interview and the CEO was like, oh, you can't work here with me. Now, honestly, I had no problem removing this, but he was definite. He wasn't ready to, why do you think this, conversations that promotes inclusive, oh, why do you think this is something the organization, there was, oh, you cannot wear this. You have more of Gen Z's in your organization that I could have come in wearing suit. So my point is, we all have bad, we all have things that some people is dreadlock. They will never hire someone that wears dreadlocks, right? And for some people, maybe they will never hire a lady that wears pants, trousers. For some people, they will never hire maybe a guy that sags. So we all have unconscious. There's nothing we can do. We all have it, especially from this side of the climb. It's plenty. So you need to be enlightened, educate yourself and others about the different types of unconscious bias and how it can play out. A Gen Z can come and say that, oh, I'm sorry, I can't flippantly say, I won't be able to make it to work, or I'm not feeling fine, I'm mentally stressed. And in your mind, you're like, you are mentally stressed. I don't understand. You cannot, because our generation is different, whether you're stressed or not. Even if you have an accident, for as long as you're fine, the line manager can even say, but you're still coming, right? Or can you help me send that email? But for the Gen Zs, no, that accident alone, I need about 2 weeks to recuperate. So if you have those sets of generation in your organization, how inclusive are you in finding a balance to make sure that they're fine or that you're able to manage them and be mindful of your biases? Once you know that it exists, and that it makes you more accepting to be able to see it when pointed out. And creating an environment where diverse opinions, I said that earlier, avoid groupthink. Like I mentioned, sometimes we hire people like ourselves. As ladies, sometimes maybe we dress well. There's a lady who came for the interview, she dressed so well, another one not so much. There's a possibility we'll go with the one that dressed so well, that looks like us, wearing expensive wigs, she's wearing heels, while the other one maybe natural hair. It's there. We all have it. So when you now want to bring people that look like you, speak like you, talk like you, maybe went to the same secondary school or university, oh, KC boys, KC girls, yo, these are, we all have it. Trust me. Then train employees. Let people be conscious of the fact that we all have it. How does it rated? So constant education, knowledge sharing session, stop sessions where people are reminded, about that. How do you bridge gaps? Okay, I've talked about this. It's almost the same thing. cross mentorship. Don't pair people together. Maybe baby boomer or Gen Z with Gen X, millennial with baby boomer. Don't pair people together on the same level. Don't put an expert with an expert. Let people mix, right? So that you can create a culture that is diverse, right? Offer training. Don't assume people know. Please don't, especially in this side of the client. We need help. We are still within our client. A lot of the things that are going on around the world is not as much as it is absorbed there, because there's a clash between our culture and what is happening globally. Communication channels as well. For someone like me, I hate calls, right? And there are people that they can only call. If they don't call, they are not settled, right? How do you bridge that gap? What do we do? Video. Some people are not comfortable doing video calls. They want it to be audio. How do we create a system? Do we create a Slack channel where people can send audio, or do we create a channel where, okay, you know what, calls? What time can we call you? You must be very all-encompassing in that area. Reward employees of all generations. In my organization, sometimes when we do a recognition program and one person wins from Lagos, the next person who scored the highest from the other location subsidiaries, we have to recognize them to make sure that we are not creating a particular location winning that particular award all the time. Because some location will always have more numbers than the others and even more performance, right? Offer training. You have new experts coming in, you have new employees coming in, you have someone joining, maybe a baby boomer or a Gen Z joining an organization filled with baby boomers and Gen X. You need to also train them as well on communication styles. I'll give another example. So apparently, in Nigeria, when we want to break bad news or something, or we want to say something that we want to tell someone we can't do it, we smile. Apparently, this is a problem for some experts. When you're telling them something that is not a yes, say it as it is. Don't smile. Don't pretend as if you're trying to know. Say it to me as it is. Don't smile. What are you smiling for? This was a big issue in my organization, and we discovered that was a cultural difference. In Nigeria, I don't know if you can see my hand. For me, this means shut up, right? I mean, if you do like this to any adults in Nigeria, they can spank that hand. But in a particular culture, in the Middle East, this is listen, right? Listen, listen. But in Nigeria, it's like, I don't understand though. But anyway, it's a different culture which we must be conscious of. So why do we need to promote inclusiveness and diversity? While customers are attracted to a great product or services, amazing people, the best talents, the purple squirrels are easily attracted to organizations that has an inclusive and diverse culture. And no one is joining any organization if they're not doing any Glassdoor, Naira Land, LinkedIn search. They are clicking on your employees, associated employees, to see the kind of persons you have in your company, the kind of leaders. It speaks a lot, it tells a lot. So that is why you need to understand the importance of inclusiveness and diversity as a culture. 2 points to note. It's not about doing the right thing. For me, I don't think it's about doing the right thing. Unless you are building a very indigenous business that you don't care about, you are not interested in any foreign, what's your own business with foreign? In fact, your own people are. Otherwise, if you're building a business that is sustainable, that you want to outlast you, and even for the talents, then diversity and inclusion is very critical to the success of your business. They come with different perspectives, experiences, knowledge that will help you with creative problem solving, better decision making, and even an innovative and productive workforce. This is why Apple remains number one, Amazon, Facebook. These are people that are leveraging talents and skills from across the world. Don't bring everybody from different places. Everything, be hitting different brains, IQs. And it also helps build trust and a sense of belonging. There's something when sometimes, even as Nigerians, when you relocate to another country, even from the airports or when you visit another country and you see a Black person or a Nigerian, there's this sense of warmness that would nice, my people they here. Or you join an organization in the UK or US and you see other Nigerians there, it makes you feel like, fine, at least it's not just me. So, right, people need to be in a place they feel safe, they feel they belong. It helps improve engagement and retention. Also remember, to build a successful business, you need inclusion, right? People will bring themselves, they know that, oh, it matters. Whatever they are doing matters. There are people like them, and they know that the ideas are welcome, right? Working with diverse colleagues, definitely, it helps build a more inclusive culture. It will be frustrating, trust me, extremely frustrating. There will be clashes at the initial stage, people trying to stick to their own culture, what they are used to. You see some employees, they come to an organization and they say that this is how we used to do things. These are some of the training you have to give. The minute you're joining this organization, you're dropping this is how we used to do things. So it will be frustrating, but in the end, you will get a beautiful picture. The companies I'd mentioned, they are perfect examples. Sorry, I had to rush. I know I was giving 30 minutes. Thank you. Questions, feedback?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Teju. I, for one, listened all evening because it was so insightful. There was, sorry, let me turn my video on. There was so much he said. I kept nodding my head. I was like, I can relate. I've witnessed quite a few of those instances, as you said, working in Nigeria,
Yeah.
especially, I have quite a few questions. Um, Let me go to the chat first. Yes, Toyin is saying so insightful. Thank you so much, Teju. I need to attend another meeting now. Okay, so she has to drop off. I understand. Okay, so my first question here is how can we train leaders to be more inclusive? Bearing in mind the way I'm looking at it, HR is supposed to schedule such a training, and HR, well, I don't want to speak for all HR, but there's that assumption that HR sort of favors senior management more. So it's like, how do you then tell them that what they're doing is not really right and they should change? So that's the first question.
Right. So I'll use my present company as an example. So I work for an international organization, and I remember that during my interview process, I was still in my previous company, and I was like, I was already saying it was time to. I had an event, and I was like, after the event, I would just resign. That was when I was contacted by this organization, and during my interview with the CEO, the first 10 to 20 minutes, he spent it talking about himself and the business, what he's trying to build. Immediately, I had an idea the kind of culture it was trying to be. I mean, after the conversations, the negotiations, and everything, I'd accepted the offer. The first day of resumption, he gathered all the leaders that he had hired from different parts of the world. We had some experts, he had poached us from different companies. And we spent the entire day at the in an outdoor in a hotel talking about culture the entire day. There were no targets. There were no, this is what we're trying to build. We need to hire. No, it spoke about culture for the entire day. I think it was a 2-day event. After the first day, we came back the second day. The same thing. We joined. At some point, he brought some lecturers from London Business School to talk about culture. I knew this man was in playing. And ever since then, every quarter, every 3 to 4 months, he comes into the country. During a workshop session, we spend 1 hour talking about how do you feel, how have you feel, what are your challenges, and the rest of the day he spends it reiterating the importance of culture. That is the only way to train leaders, not HR scheduling, maybe stop work sessions where someone will come and talk about the core values again. But you see that inclusion, diversity, culture, it is the CEO. That is the only way you can train leaders. You can't outsource training to HR. HR should take care of soft skills, technical skills, emotional intelligence, yeah. But you see that culture, inclusion, what we are trying to build, what is not acceptable in this organization, only the CEO can communicate that. That's the only way to train the leaders. And of course, by practice. My CEO, I keep saying he's the most emotionally intelligent leader I've ever seen. No one has ever seen him angry. No one has ever seen him shout. He's so soft-spoken, but the results he's getting. So I said that, so it's possible. Me, I'm still struggling not to shout to get a message sent across with my children. So, but he does it effortlessly. And that's because
Yeah.
we know, based on the number of trainings he has taken on culture,
Yeah.
we understood the importance.
It sounds definitely like he made that conscious effort,
Yeah.
himself, which is amazing. I have another question. So the next one is, what is the cost of diversity? Because I've heard
Hmm.
you talk a lot about the benefits and how we should include that in workspaces. But at what cost? Reason
Hmm.
being, you talked about merit, you talked about finding a balance, and then you gave the example of someone who has brought in sales of, so billions and has a toxic attitude,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trying to, what is the cost in that sense? How would you um,
Hmm.
rate it? Should we overlook toxicity to some degree because you're trying to bring the best hands in?
Hmm. Really deep question. But just to be clear, diversity does not mean that you need to bring everybody and anybody. It just means you need to be conscious of the people you're bringing in because you want to avoid groupthink, whether you like it or not. If you put, there are some of my friends that if I put all of us together, I already have an idea. If I ask them a question, what they are going to say. There are some friends that maybe you want to go out at night. Yeah, you have a set of friends that you know that you call them, they will answer you. And there are some friends that you know that once it's 8 p.m. or 9 p.m., if you put them together, sometimes you want to make some decisions like those people that will go out at night. So you need to bring them together, or you want to be. So it's the same thing for an organization. Diversity does not mean, oh, you lower the bar for yourself or you just bring
Okay.
in anybody. In fact,
Okay.
diversity ensures that toxicity does not exist. Because
Okay.
sometimes, because you want to hire within a particular set, you are stuck with people who will fit into that toxic or that toxicity. But diversity ensures that conscious. For instance, this is still one of the most controversial conversations. Sometimes you see some organizations, you look through their management team and they are all men. It tells me already what I want to know about the organization, right? It tells me already. Or I go to an organization, I see HR reporting to the CFO or the CEO. It tells
Yeah.
me already the kind of culture that I'm going to get. I'm going to have
Mm.
a more cost control kind of mentality than investing in employees. So some things are too, it's very obvious. So the cost of diversity is not as bad as focusing on a particular set or limiting you. You won't even know how far you can get or what your organization can do until you bring people from diverse culture, race,
Backgrounds.
generation,
Culture.
right? Especially for this, for instance, if you look at companies like Flutterwave, Paystack, initially when they had started, they were focusing on Gen Zs, right? The ones with the dreads, the ones with the earrings, the one with the sagging. But right now, they are focused. You will see that their leadership, they are hiring more Gen X. Even I think one of them have the baby boomer as part of their leadership. Um, the older millennials, they are now understanding. You can't have everyone, yeah, I disagree. Sometimes you want that wisdom, you want that sage in your team that will tell you that this thing won't work and this is why it won't work. So the cost of diversity will always be more positive than maybe the negative impact. The only time you will feel the negativity is if eventually one
Yeah.
of the arm or the section of that diversity begins to take decisions that eschew or shuns the perspectives of others that belong within the organization.
Mm. Okay, thank you very much. Actually, that's a really in-depth answer because you just explained that cost of diversity is not necessarily higher than the benefits. I think that's something to take away. And on that note, also, bringing it back to Nigeria, how how far should I say how far along are we or away from this topic of diversity and inclusion? Because a lot of the examples you gave, I was just like, yes, yes, hiring from a certain, maybe tribe or religion or age, it's so prevalent here. So to me, it sounds like we have a long way to go. Have you maybe any sort of measure of actually how far we have to go? And sorry, let me just add this. So let's look at, maybe we can focus on older companies because the new ones seem to be adopting this diverse approach.
Yeah.
So maybe we can look at the older organizations.
Yeah. So I don't want to call names, but I can tell you that we are still less than 10%. This is just me calling numbers and looking at the number of organizations. Even startups in Nigeria, we are still like a pin, a drop in the ocean. Right. The reason we feel we are that much or we are making that much impact is because for some of these startups, they are making huge impact. I'm talking of the like of MoneyPoint, Flutterwave, Paystack, and even e-commerce as well, Conga, right? But it's still a drop compared to other organizations that have not jumped on the wagon. And like I mentioned earlier, some organizations don't care about any international, what's my business with international standards? What's my concerns with according to international standards? A case in point, there's a particular organization that is suing a customer who gave a negative review. You think if you go and look at that CEO, if that CEO cares about one that I'm trending on Twitter, what's my own? Go and look at his employees. You will discover that they are probably older persons that
Yes.
they are never going to be interested in, even if they say something bad. They don't care. They don't care about all these things that maybe when I go to the airport or
Yes.
embassy to go and get visa, they don't send you. And there are lots of companies, organizations like that, right? So that's why I said we are still along with technology. Technology gives us like a false hype.
Yes.
That's why I said leaders have to be conscious.
Yes.
People don't know. People just there was something that trended last year where a guy came. This guy is someone that writes a lot on LinkedIn and said a student came for an interview and was putting on leg chain. And of course, she never got the job. He went
Wait.
international with that
What?
because she was putting on the leg chain. He
Oh
went
my goodness.
international with that, like
Mm.
every country picked it up. But that guy was speaking for more than 50% of African men, right? More than 50, and that's me
He
being
said what people
generous.
were thinking, but yeah, it's true.
Yeah, he said what a lot of men are thinking. Some
Then
men
yeah.
will never, this nose ring now, there are some organizations that will never, I will never even be shortlisted. Not even talk of sitting in front of a CEO that will tell me I can't hire you. So we are still far behind. There's still a long way to go. Education is still an investment that
Yes.
Nigeria leaders need to make. Is a sector,
Okay.
and I'm not talking of curriculum for school. No, I'm talking of conscious, something that makes everybody in the world in Nigeria ready to mingle with other parts
Mm.
of the world. Someone jokingly said that
Yes.
Nigerians that leave the country to relocate, ideally they should be quarantined into a particular city where they are put through the do's and don'ts, because
Oh, Lord. That's
we
funny.
we are, yeah. So it's a long way to go. There's still
A
so
long
much,
way.
so
Thank
much.
you. We have one question. I think we can take one more question, please. This one is from Auntie Inyang. She says, thank
Okay.
you so much, Teju. A very, very useful presentation. From your experience, how do you think organizations will achieve successful succession planning with staff, Gen Z, in brackets, spending 2 years or less in the organization?
Hmm. All right, beautiful question. So there's a quote I've been telling everyone that cares to listen, that you cannot be bigger or better than your environment. The challenge with a lot of organizations right now is not the Gen Zs, it's the economy, it's the environment of the country as it is. Nigeria right now A lot is going on. So Gen Zs are leaving organization with because they are looking for something better. I've been trying to get a developer for months to help with a particular product, and I've not been able to get because global organizations are giving them better offer. So there's no organization in Nigeria that can be bigger than the environment. The environment of Nigeria is already challenged. The only way to retain Gen Zs is to make them a partner or invite them to be part of the core decision-making process. But you can't do that for everybody. So the only thing are the things I've said. Gen Zs will stay. I mean, I have Gen Zs in my organization. Our retention rate is extremely high. There are people that have been there since we started. I hire people, only those that maybe they put in their express entry before they joined. They are still there. But that's because there's a lot of culture that we have factored the flexibility. Sometimes people go on by 4 p.m. If you don't come to the office by 8:30, no one, my team is not sitting in front of it. You say, why didn't you come? What happened? We are more concerned. The third mainland bridge, we had already said that, some of you can work 2 days off, some of you can, some will call you, I'm not, there's flexibility. So they feel, I know without a doubt that it's going to take a lot of, very few companies in Nigeria that can match what we currently offer. And I'm not talking about money, right? It's creating an enabling environment with these guys. They are not like us that if you give us a watch after 10 years, they are not interested in all those long service awards. They don't care. Even if you give them vested shares, it's not their own. You're telling me I'm not going to get my after 4 years? I'm not here till 4 years. Exactly. So you need to find, this is where the inclusion comes in. How do you ensure that you're giving a compensation or a reward that aligns with the talent that you have in-house? For Gen Zs, it's not even the money. You don't have to give them the world. But how comfortable are they working there, the organization, the workspace, your office setting, how feedback is given, when they do well, when they don't do well. So succession planning right now is not, there's nothing you can offer. Nigeria as an environment is almost corrosive for these guys. There's a conversation going on social media where they're asking that, is 800K enough? Will people stay? And I'm seeing some people that I'm so sure that they are not any 150,000 are saying that like they can, what can they do with 800K? That should tell you that a lot of people understand that Nigeria, people are saying they will jackpot even with 800K as salary. That means the environment. So it's succession planning. The environment itself has to be conducive. It has to be good for people to want to stay. So it's just to create an enabling environment for them to give their best while they are there. And if they are people, Gen Zs are living for little things. Why am I coming to 8 a.m.? I'm getting query or 8:05 a.m. Or why are you talking to me anyhow in a meeting? These guys are spokes. They're spokes. So
it's true. That's true. And because you touched on that, I'll just and the AI said thank you very much. So that definitely answered her question. I mean, I really thought that after the lockdown and COVID, people would have adjusted, but it seems like they just went back to, most organizations went back to how things were before. But your organization clearly has factored in so many of these work-life balance, should I say, that model, adopted it really well. I think a lot of companies can do well to adopt something similar. It's really go a long way. Okay, we have a comment from Finessa. She says, I did not hire someone with her tongue ring as front desk for an oil and gas company because culture and our brand, we are old school.
So I was going to respond to that. Yes, absolutely. But inclusion is finding out the ring can come out when she's in the office. It's not necessarily my ring can be removed, right? Oh, we don't do this during work hours. Is this something that you can remove. I mean, if she was the best candidate you got, why
You
was she,
consider.
was she not? Why was she? And guess what? These guys don't understand that some things are. I've interviewed people, Gen Zs, that they don't wear shirts for my interview. Someone pulled I was not wearing a shirt. I was like, oh, can you see me?
Yes.
A lady was actually lying down on her bed and she wanted us to be talking. Another one was in his shop, right? He was in his shop
Wow.
selling, and he was done. His camera was ready, and he was selling. Then he came to see. He said, "Good afternoon, thank you so much." I said, "We will need to reschedule." He's like, "You are distracted." So these guys don't know the bar is so low now. So
Yeah.
inclusion is acknowledging this current reality and saying that, can we work with this person? Oh, nice. So Chinata has responded
I
to
know.
stop
I'm reading
wearing the
this.
sunglasses. Amazing. Man, a lot
She's
is happening. Oh, a lot
a
is
lot
happening.
is
Yes.
happening.
Yes.
Memi says I've experienced all those lying down on the couch people.
It's crazy.
So
The
someone who
one that,
wore a singlet.
because it is past, really. I have some roles I've been trying to hire since last year, and these guys know it. So is it not my brain? Gen Z, is my brain you want? I will provide you. And most of them,
Yes.
they know the work. So it makes them more
Yes.
flippant. So
That's
are you
true.
willing to train? Do you think you can help them harness when they mix with? Is this something you can,
That's true. That's
It
true.
is well, oh, it is
Okay,
well. My
well, thank you. That's a good note to sort of end it on. A little light light comedy there. Do you have any final words? I know you've said a lot, and it would be nice to just hear any final words before close for the evening.
so I think it's just to reiterate the consciousness. It's not an automatic thing. People don't know. The way these Gen Zs don't know that their interview etiquette is the way leaders, there are just some things that after a certain age and wealth of experience, it, there's a tendency to become, in quotes, arrogant, right? That means we have certain expectations, how we expect people. During interviews, we come in, we could be condescending without even knowing, especially if the person does not meet what we expect. We carry out interviews like interrogation, So as leaders, the onus is on us to continue to learn, to continue to observe, to continue to be open, have an open mindset, right? And to also, as leaders, take the lead. I mean, literally, what you want to see, you have to emulate it. People can't go wrong in that. What you want to see, you emulate the way you dress, the way you talk, your please. I keep saying that one of the things that defined me early on in my career with the help of my kids is the use of please, excuse me, and thank you. And that has become one of my trademark in all the places I've worked. Respect is key. When you understand that respect, it's easy for you to be inclusive, right? To be able to don't take people at surface value, right? And also basically just keep learning, have an open mind, educate yourself. There's more, and it makes you more globally ready for
Yeah.
opportunities to partner, network, work with other people at global level. And no global
Mm.
company will touch you if they
Yeah.
don't feel that your brand, whether as an organization or as a person, reflects what exists in the other parts of the world.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Teju. Honestly, as I said, we could carry on all night, but we have to end it here. I know from the comments, from the responses, people got a lot of knowledge today. And so, once again, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, from everybody here in the chat, thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of the evening.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. Have a great
Thank you.
evening.
Bye.
Okay, Teju has that. Thank you. Bye.